Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you very much for tuning in again to On the Town with Tanya. And you know, I'm your host, Tanya. Today's guest is a former key executive at Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, where he helped drive record breaking box office success. According to Rolling Stone magazine UK, over 3.7 billion domestically in 2019 and more than 42 billion globally during his tenure. He played a major role in distributing iconic films, including Black Panther, Avengers, Endgame, The Lion King, Coco, and Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. A 32-year decorated U.S. Army sergeant, an international best-selling author, and a former pro athlete. Today's guest is the definition of next-level leadership. I'd like for you to please help me welcome Sergeant Major Keith L. Craig. Hey, let's see. Okay, give me 1 second. Let's see. There you go. Hey, Sergeant Major.
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing, Tanya?
Thank you so much for coming today. We appreciate you.
Be here.
Let's give me 1 second here. I got to get rid of something. I don't know why. I have a sound in the background.
Just say Sergeant Major, Tanya. Just say Sergeant Major.
Sergeant Major, okay? All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sergeant Major.
Shorten it, yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So thank you so much for being our guest. And so you've led in war zones, in boardrooms. Can you briefly share with us, before all of those lovely awards and the glamour, how you first got inspired into your greatness?
I think my particular story comes from coming from a family that was not as stable as the rest. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of at that time that, I wanted more. So, I looked at it and said, I'm going to go out into the world. And because I grew up with not so many mentors in my life, right? So I said, I was going to go out into the world, Tanya. And I was going to find, men, that had the qualities and even the virtues that I wanted to be. And so I wasn't going to take one particular man like most people think about doing, like finding one mentor. I was going to find, a group of men that I admired, that I liked the way that they moved. And I may take 10% from one or 20% from another. And I was going to strategically build myself based on things that I saw that I was, excited about looking at other men, you know what I'm saying? Because I grew up without a father. So I looked out in the world to find people that, they looked like, what I wanted to be when I became a full grown man,
Wow. And so what do you think mindset allowed you to transition to, from military, from military Disney, from military, and I heard some of your background, homeless, all the things that you went through. How did you transition? Was it the military that helped you get that mindset that you need to become a Disney?
Absolutely. The military absolutely gave me the discipline, the understanding the importance of building a plan and strategy behind that plan. And when you have resources and you actually put the resources behind strategy, and you have a general a business model, you're able to grow that business model. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the military absolutely gives you structure, right? The structure that I did not have, the military gives that to all the young men and women that come into the the armed forces. It gives you that. Yes.
Well, so do you know the first time that you wanted to actually get into film, or was it just coincidence? You met somebody?
Yeah, it was coincidence, but it was really start off just I wanted to be in entertainment. I always wanted to make my troops, satisfied. So I spent 25 years of my 32 years in Europe. And so USO, always brought over, entertainers from other genres, if you will. And it wasn't normally, urban entertainers. So, me being a senior listed advisor to the commander and CEO, they came to me like, what can we do to bring someone that has our pigmentation, whatever, right? So I reached out to agencies like CAA and different agencies. And eventually I started bringing overseas B.B. King, James Brown, Montel Jordan, Blackstreet. I started bringing those entertainers to the troops, which I consider to be my troops, which in reality was, troops of color. You know what I'm saying? So that me feeling and being exhilarated, to make my troops happy, being able to do that, it just lit a flame of fire inside of me. And it's just something I always wanted to do, make people happy, or be a person that's able to create something that didn't exist and all of a sudden become relevant and people are looking forward to seeing it, what you create.
Yes. I saw that you also helped, let's say, catapult diversity, let's say, in
Yes.
film. So tell me just a little bit about that, because
Again, understanding that, when you look at Hollywood as a whole, right, as a macro level, um, you had six studios in Hollywood, right, with the Disneys, the Sonys, the Warner Brothers, the Universals, whatever, right. So, I was the only person of color to actually work in distribution at Disney, right. So I understood there when I got to Hollywood, and that I didn't see anybody like me. So I understand that it was an uphill climb to actually see nobody, to actually see other artists trying to break in, because you just can't break in because you have the talent. Talent is not enough.
right.
You have the drive. None of that matters. You need access points. So I decided to become a gate, if you will, or a gatekeeper, if you will, to try to help escort people into the space that they want to be in. You know what I'm saying? So, and me being a studio guy, that gave me the ability and the knowledge and the connections to try to be that person to reach out for, underrepresented communities, which was, yes, females as well as people of color.
Wow. Wow. So Sergeant Major, you helped drive over 42 billion in global box office. What separates hits from failures?
It's quite a few things, right? I often speak about in my book, Checkpoint Decoder. Most people never heard of these terms of there are one quadrant films and there are four quadrant films, and there are two and three, right? So a lot of people, filmmakers, start off just by making a film, and they say that I wrote this because of the passion project, or I had a story that came to mind. Well, that's fine if you're not trying to make money. But if you're trying to make money, the first thing you have to do before you even write that story, put pen to paper, is figure out what audience am I about to write this story for. And when you figure out what audience I'm about to write the story for, that allowed you to add the characters inside of your story. Because if you don't have a character in your story that looks like somebody different, you can't expect that person that looks different to want to see your project. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important, if you want a Caucasian to be in your, to come to the theater to see your movie, then you need to have a storyline that fits a Caucasian in that story, or a young, white girl that's 16. Everybody needs to be in your story who you want to buy a ticket to come to your to come see your film, even if it's not a theater, right? It could be digital. You want them to go on Amazon. You want them to go to Tubi, Roku, Vudu. You got to have a character in that story that people can associate themselves with.
Mm,
That's how
mm,
you that's how you can think about how can I make money, because when you look at how America is divided into, 430 something million people, well, you have to see, I need to have somebody in my story that fits that demographic. And if you
mm,
have a story, if you have a great storyline and you've cast well, somebody that people want to actually see, then they'll come see your story.
See, that's something I've always said. I like to write, and I always said that why would you lose money if you don't have to? So it makes no sense to me if a film doesn't have a good diverse amount, because then you're shutting out the other people. Is
Yes.
how I saw it. So thank you. I'm glad you said that.
And
Um,
probably unintentional, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. So it's probably unintentional. I see a lot of people on a day-to-day basis, they've just wrote this great script and they have never considered the cast, and film specifically, you have to reverse engineer film when you think about making money, right? Because most people, when you go to these universities around the country, around the world, actually, they only teach, three steps of filmmaking, which is your pre-production, production, and post-production. They don't teach branding, marketing, and distribution, right? So they haven't taught you how to make money out of your content. So you're making content with no intent on really making money. So you have to reverse engineer, right? First, think about your audience, where you wanted to land at, what network, what TV station, what digital platform, And when you think reverse engineer it, starting at the distribution and reverse engineer distribution, marketing, branding, then post production, then production, then pre production. Well, now you have the proper sequence because when you go speak to an investor, right? You go to a cap table to raise money for your film. Well, you need to have this deck built up there, supported by strategy. So this is if you have the right strategy, you show the investor who may be outside the industry, but he does have wealth. He's a wealthy person, but you need to show him the ROI, return on investment. Well, this is, sir, how you get your ROI by this is the distribution strategy. This is the cast on the deck that you see we're going after. We have LOIs, letter of intents from Forrest Whitaker, Michael B. Jordan. We have LOIs from Angelina Jolie. So you're showing equity that you've added to your storyline, to your deck, that now will get you the financing that you need. But if you have none of these components to your, into your formula, then you won't get a pleasant end state. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important to have the right math. So when you introduce your film, you're not just introducing them a screenplay and emotionally telling them to believe me, this is the best, but they can't see the numbers. Because wealthy people didn't get wealthy on emotions. They got wealthy by understanding strategy and monetizing and maximizing opportunities and verticals in the industry.
Wow. That is a major thank you because I know a lot of filmmakers would need this piece of information that we often, I don't know, I guess we get so caught up in our creative stuff that the little details, which are very important, is what matters. So thank you. Wow. Speaking of which, how did working on films like Avengers, Endgame, Black Panther shape your view on storytelling and impact?
Well, again, it let me see the difference between a one quadrant film and a four quadrant film. Because when you talk about these superhero movies, right, they have something for everybody's palate, right? Even if it's just down to the scoring of the movie, which is the sound in the movie, the soundtrack in the movie, right? All the way down to the characters, the people in the movie, you know what I'm saying? So it just has everything in there, right? So it allowed me to see, for instance, Black Panther, it allowed me to see, and I was happy to be a part of that, of a film never made before. There's never been a film in Hollywood that had a Black director, an all Black cast, and $100 million was invested to bring that thing into fruition, into existence. That had never happened before. So to make sure that the first of its kind, the Black experience was done on a four quadrant level, just allowed me to see what makes money and what will not make money. So again, being able to identify those things or whatever, you can see four quadrant from one quadrant. So a lot of people that never even heard the terminology, you'll probably see that when people engage you in the future, like I never heard of two quadrant or three quadrant or four quadrant, or these are at the studio we call these tent poles.
Okay.
Right. These are the blockbusters, the tent pole movies where you can hang a hat of a studio on because they are industry shaking. They shake up the entire industry, right? Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it's just very important to know, who your audience is and what you're doing it for, and even an investment. So yes.
Okay, so what does Hollywood get wrong about success that you learned the hard way?
I wouldn't say Hollywood gets anything wrong about success. I'll say it like this, coming from the military, the one thing about the military, it injects inside of you, your priorities, right? The priorities in the military is the mission as a leader. I speak as a leader. It's the mission, it's the people, and then myself. Sergeant Major eats last. If we have a limited amount of food on the table, I'm gonna let my people eat first, right? Because Sergeant Major eats last. That's the sacrifice that you have to give in order to inspire and motivate and get people to buy in on what you're selling, that you really care about them. Now, what I see in Hollywood, unfortunate, which caused me to write the book, Serving to Lead. I wrote that book and I had to write that book biting my tongue, right, to do it the right way, because I was still sitting at the, at the studio lot. I had to write that book and just think about how do I draw a line between, the military and its priorities and the studio, their priorities is the mission and me. Don't worry about the people. You know what I'm saying? Because what they told me, and what they told me was this, and you'll find this humorous. Sorry, Major, we don't have to worry about the people, right? Every year we have 2 million people applying for 2,000 jobs. So
Right.
talent globally is not a problem. We always have to pick of the litter. So you just drive the mission and take care of yourself. And if your people are not performing, we'll just replace them with more people because we are the creme, we're creme de la creme.
Right.
So we you don't have to worry about the talent, take care of people, which is the contrast between, my tenure as a 32-year, senior 1% in the military veteran is different from. So that's the thing that I saw. It could use a overhaul, if you will. Leadership, understanding that if you actually take care of your people, the mission will get taken care, and obviously you're taking care, and the ascension that you're trying to reach, the height that you're trying to reach, it goes in line with that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's a lack of understanding. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. Take care of your people. So your book, Serving to Lead, now that
Yes.
resonates worldwide. Why is service-based leadership more important than ever now?
I think it's important, especially because I think the world is in a very compromising place, right? I have this theory that the world is divided into two. 87% of the world are, don't get me wrong, those 87%ers are, you have CEOs, you have trailblazers, you have COOs, all the presidents, you have all those great positions, around the world in these corporations. However, in reality, they're born to follow other leaders, the 13 percenters. So I feel as though if the 13 percenters who are born, they came on this earth as leaders, if they understand serve your people, they'll be able to drive the world with those other 87% of the world. Because don't get me wrong, they have skill sets, they are talented, they do go to Yale and Harvard, right? But that 13 percenters are the people they really believe in. Because most of the people don't really have belief in themselves, right? And they could be moved left or right and taken off their mark, or off their talent. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I wrote Serving the Lead, to speak to the 13 percenters that, guys, you don't have to think about yourself. You'll be fine. Go back and get the rest of the world, the rest of society, and help them with themselves, because our kids are the future, of tomorrow, and you need to help them with themselves, so they can better take care of their families.
Wow, that is powerful coming from you, because I always say, yeah, I mean, you do have to take care of your people first, and a lot of people, you're right. I think that if they, most people, if the wrong elements come along, they can be shifted from their goal or purpose so quickly, which is probably why we only have 1% at the 1%, because they couldn't be taken off their goal. I mean, that's my guess, but that's powerful.
And a lot of these people, Tanya, that can be moved, or they're admired by other people. So imagine the people that people are looking up to can be moved left or right based on, politics, or based on, this where we live in is capitalism, capitalist society, whatever, or if you can be bought. That's why it's so important that you have your own personal values and morals, right? So you don't let people move you to, the wrong place, the most important thing though, have a belief in God. You know what I'm saying? Why you're here, be in alignment with, what His purpose is for all of us, And if you do that, you can't be moved too far to the left, too far to the right. Only a couple of steps, right? Which means you'll eventually come back in alignment if you have the right people around you as your team. Who's your tribe? Make sure your tribe has the same values that you have. Not nobody you just pick up tomorrow and say, "That's my friend." No, you don't know that person. You know what I'm saying? Because I do think that we as a human, we're quick to put people in categories fast. That's my friend, because he gave you one thing that you guys have in common, and all of a sudden you put them in the friend category. No, that's your new associate. That person hasn't proven to be, a person that you can depend on or even trust, right? So yeah.
Wow. Yes, that's so true. Um, can you tell us about your new book, Checkpoint Decoder, Unlocking the Film Distribution Codes?
Sure. I mean, I spoke a little bit about that earlier when I was speaking about, how to, monetize your films, because again, even the universities, what I've seen, Tanya, even in the universities, as I go around and speak to some of these colleges at Howard or American University, things of that nature, right? I realized that the professors at these universities, um, they're in their 70s. They did something in 1970s, and times has changed. They haven't even, they're not even up to date on the digital phenomenon that it is. They got into film or creation when it was before it became linear TV, before it was anything, right? So it's like,
Right.
but they have the education and they've been at these universities for 40 years.
Right.
So Checkpoint Dakota was written as just again, they're seasoned filmmakers that have been doing this for a long time. It wasn't an insult to these seasoned filmmakers to like change the game, but it was like, it was just something new to put in your tool bag or your toolkit as you go around, because if you're not plugged into the industry, in the last 6 months, you're already behind. That's why when you see things like, Skydance buying Paramount Global, and now it's Paramount Global Skydance. You see Netflix, trying to buy Warner, and now you see they're fighting to see who's going to get who's going to eventually get Warner, right? And then you see the politics in it. You see, you see Larry Ellis, who's the president's best friend billionaire, and his son David Ellis is actually the CEO of Paramount Global Skydance or whatever. You know who's going to win. You know who's going to win that Warner deal, right? It's already baked into the math, right? Because who controls the FCC?
Right.
It's the writing's already on the wall. So again, why I'm in this thing here is to share the little knowledge that I do have, and escort people into the industry with clear and concise operational understandings of the industry and where they're going. Like, what are you trying to do and what are your goals? And do you have a plan and a strategy to get there?
Mm.
Because I always tell people, don't just go to Hollywood because it looks attractive.
Right.
Go to Hollywood because Hollywood called you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So can you tell me about what are the black ops strategies behind billion-dollar blockbusters that most people never even see?
Well, just understanding distribution, right? It's understanding, like I said earlier, like when a filmmaker goes to talk to an investor, for instance, right? I talked earlier about the deck. The filmmaker got to understand, because most filmmakers come to me, they talk about this film costs this much, right? This film costs $500,000. This film costs $1 million. What they don't understand, Tanya, is when you send a film over to me, for instance, I have software that can actually, QC, should I say, a QC platform that does quality control on your film. And when it runs through that program, it catches all the, if your sound is too high, if your lighting is too low, it catches all the it catches all the things that needs improvement on, right? And if I would go to the network and say, hey, I have this film, and they say it's this value, they don't understand that these networks have software that they run this film into. And so if I'm saying this film costs $1 million in production value, but you don't have Angela Bassett in the film, you don't have Lawrence Fishburne in the film, you don't have anybody who should be worthy of a $1 million film, it's automatically telling the distributor, which is me, that I can't believe you brought this to me and gave me this value, which is going to devalue me and my word as the gatekeeper. And it's, so I cannot allow a filmmaker who may be telling me a fib, somehow thinking that what he says matters. He don't understand that there are machines that actually scales and weighs and comes up with a real value the corporate value of these platforms and networks. You know what I'm saying? So I just speak to things that they don't understand. That's behind the curtains. They think that, you know, their passion for the project or their excitement for the project somehow gives it its worth, and it doesn't. So I speak to things that people don't understand. If you can't come inside, if you haven't been inside the house, you're operating from what you think is in the house, you know, from the outside in, and it doesn't work like that.
Wow. I never even knew there was such a machine. I mean, I knew there was something, excuse me, that had to be based on, but I just thought it was just previous knowledge or something. I didn't know there was actually a machine now. I mean, that's amazing that it's advanced to that level. Wow.
Yes.
And that puts a whole new eye for people who are coming up in the film industry now to think twice about when they go in to negotiate or even just try to get distribution. Gives them something to think about.
Yeah, because when you think about it, people go and get that $1 million. This is the key part of the thing I'm leaving off, right? When you go speak to an investor and you ask for $1 million, that $1 million is just for, you know, the first 3 steps we talk about: pre-production, production, post-production, right? You know, so what another thing in Black Op is to tell them, guys, at the very least, you have to ask for an additional 35% of that separate from your production budget. Right, you have to separate the two phases of that, right? The first 3 steps and the second 3 steps. Very important. So, for instance, Black Panther, we spent $100 million for Black Panther, right? Now we don't publicize though. We actually spent an additional $35 million for the branding, marketing, distribution of Black Panther, which is why everybody went to see that film 3 times, right? You know, because there's always math inside of it. All this is just a formula that gives you an equation, right? For instance, what we learned at the studio is this: when you're marketing something, if you put this in front of people's face 3 times, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, they'll remember it. If you put it in front of their face 21 times, they'll buy it, they'll purchase it.
Wow.
So also a part of the strategy is to make sure that Tanya sees this at least 3 times, you know, 6 months in advance. And then during the 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd month is another 19, 18 times that she'll see it now, because now she's getting her girls ready, her husband ready, or daughter ready to go see this movie. So it's all strategy, it's all chess.
Wow.
It's all chess, right? So we got to make sure we get this in your eyesight and put it in your subconscious, you know what I'm saying, and shift it around inside of your head so we know you're coming. You know, by the way, when you go on Amazon and order your socks or your new pajamas for Christmas, you know, we get your analytics there, right? And we take that to make sure you see it, because the whole industry revolves around algorithms,
right,
and analytics,
right.
And we get your information from everything you do.
I know.
Around your house.
I found out the hard way.
Your Netflix, your Amazon, your phone. Yeah, we know who Tanya is.
Right. Wow.
And her habits.
Right. Exactly. There we go. I was going to say, and my habits.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy that they can actually tier market to someone now and look for demographics based on what you think is your audience, your target audience. Amazing.
Because Tanya, you on TikTok, you clicking on stuff.
Yes.
You're telling me who you are every time you click on something.
I know. And I like something or follow someone, right? I know.
Right.
My brother's a techie. My brother's a tech cybersecurity.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I got a little clue, not much, but a little. Wow.
Yes,
thank you for that share. No, I'm going to get offline. No, I'm joking. But that's great. That's great. But it's also great for people who are making films to think about all this as they are also creating, so that you don't go make all that and then you forgot all the other part. Because like you said, marketing and all that is very important. I
always tell people, Tanya, if you're making this beautiful project and you don't have any P&A, we call it P&A. It stands for Prints and Advertising, right? You do this beautiful project, but you don't have no money. You've exhausted all resources and funds, you know, in the final stages of post-production. All you then have is a nice ornament for your mantle of your fireplace.
Okay, that's good. Sorry.
So if that's what you was going for, you are successful.
Right.
But if you were going for, you want to share with the rest of the world, then you're gonna need some revenue. You're gonna need P&A for that, which is your print and advertising and marketing. Your DCPs to get to the theater, things that work, digital cinema packages to get to the cinemas, exhibition.
Yes. Yes, it's everything. PR is everything. I tell people on all my friends in all platforms and areas, whether it's art, whether it's music, film, if you don't have PR, you have nothing, because you can make the best masterpiece in the world, a David painting. If no one's ever heard of it, guess what? It's going to stay in your living room. So I totally get that. And I almost would spend more on PR than I would everything else sometimes, because if they don't know, even if they know and it wasn't even the best, if they've convinced you that it's the best, ironically, people will actually buy it. So it's weird, but it happens.
Remember, 3 and 21. 3 and 21. 3 times you remember it, 21 times you buy it, you purchase it. 3 and 21.
321. Wow. Thank you. That's a jewel, a big jewel. So you've reinvented yourself multiple times.
Yes.
How do you stay fearless during reinvention?
I think I have this undeniable mindset of first of all, I love the business. I love negotiation. I love being at the cap table. I love sharpening my swords. You know what I'm saying? So what I developed when I retired after 32 years, I said, you know what? Now I'm about to develop something that's going to be relevant, but also is going to be in alignment with what I like to do. So like on the February 10th, I'm going to Berlin, Germany for 2 weeks to the European Film Festival, right? European Film Market. And I created something that fits who I am. So I love film. I love negotiation. I've been at the negotiation table. I love being at the cap table. And I love travel. You know what I'm saying? I love helping people. So with that being said, that's why I built the distribution company with my partner. Did we fall out?
Hello. Sorry about that, guys. Here we go. We're back. We're back. I apologize to that. I don't know how that just happened. There's no storm there, right? Huh. That's weird. There's no storms where you're at. Apologies.
Okay.
Finish what you were saying. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know
You
why.
prepared me. You prepared me. Go
Yeah.
out and come back in. No worries.
It says I have Wi-Fi. I have no idea why that happened. StreamYard. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Should I re-ask the question? I apologize for that.
What were we talking about, Tanya? I'll go on. I don't know what we were talking about.
We were on, let's see if I can get to my questions quick enough. Let's see. We were on, give me one moment. Sorry about that, guys. You guys know about, unfortunately, about StreamYard. Sometimes it just doesn't do what I needed to do. Serving to lead, checkpoint. We got that. Black Ops. You had reinvented yourself. How do you stay fearless during reinvention? That's what it was.
I mean, it's just my mentality. It's just my mentality coming from where I came from, Tanya. You have to, if you do what everybody else does, you're going to be normal, right? So why not do what other people aren't doing? I mean, for me being a guy 32 years in the military,
Mhm.
I could very easily just go on a military base and get a job doing the government thing, right?
Right.
So that's would have been easy for me. That's low hanging fruit. But why
Mm.
not me get on a plane and
Mm.
go to California and see what's going on with this this entertainment thing. So I went out to
Right.
California. I my story is unique in that years ago, there was a Disney wanted to have some positive publicity. I flew
Mhm.
to Dubai and met
Mhm.
a Disney guy in Dubai. I
Mhm.
escorted him into Afghanistan, in the combat zone at the time, and we brought a movie over there with us, and we showed you the troops all around the combat area. We went to Syria, Kuwait, Iraq, Afghanistan, just all over, right? And in doing that, he told me, "Sergeant Major, what you did for me out here in Hollywood, we call that, a director or producer." I said, "No,
Mhm.
sir. What I did for you out here, we call that leadership."
Mm.
So he knew I was retiring 2 years later. He said, "Well, would you consider coming to Hollywood?" I said, "No, sir. I'm good. I had bought my retirement situation already in Virginia.
Mhm.
Um, I'm in between 5 golf courses and 4 wineries. I was going to go with my handicap, my golf handicap." So fast forward 1 year later, they
Mhm.
reached back out, and I came out to Disney Studios in Burbank, and he had set up 21 different leaders and 21 different verticals around the studio for me to meet. There was operations, there was production, there was distribution, there was marketing, branding. All about 21 of them, right? So he asked
Mhm.
me,
Mhm.
"Is there anything in particular that resonated with you?" I said, "Well, distribution. It's a lot like logistics. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I'm a logistical engineer by trade, an MBA
Mhm.
guy. So
Mhm.
and I said yes, let's distribution. And so fast forward, I ended up going to UCLA to study the business of entertainment. Learn everything about that, whatever. And they gave me a contract and brought me on, and I have to be there. I think the greatest time in Hollywood, where Black Panther was on the radar, and Avengers, and Coco won an Oscar, and you know,
Okay.
yeah, it was just amazing, what I'm saying? So I got to touch $42 billion worth of films and content around strategy. So when you
Mhm.
heard when you heard that, Black Panther exceeded nationally $450 million. I had
Mhm.
negotiated a contract with Exhibition, which is AMC Regal Cinemark, to where 65% of that $450 million comes back to the studio. So I was a part of the negotiation and the strategy. Number one, the strategy to put it in those theaters, in those DMAs, demographic market
Yes.
area, but also negotiating the contract with Exhibition to where if it exceeds this particular mark, this how much of that money comes back to the studio. Because we signed something called MLA, which is a master license agreement with the Exhibition, with the studios, and the between the studios and the theaters. You know what I'm saying? So yes.
Wow. Now I'm just now I didn't pre-tell you this one, but now the Ryan Coogler deal. How did that? Isn't that historic? The deal that he made.
Which one? The one right now for Black Panther, or you
The
mean
one right now, yes, with Sinners.
Oh, it's absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're only able to get deals like that when your pedigree is cemented, right? Because he had done Fruitville Station, and he had a couple of other successful films he had made before then. Then Black Panther, went on to make, think about it like this: it went from we spent $100 million to make it, but it went on to
Mhm.
surpass $1.2 billion, right? Well, all of that gets associated with your name, right? That's your pedigree, or as we say, that's your FICO score, right? That's your credit
Mhm.
score. So as you go on to make movie after movie after movie, all this equity added to your brand. It's no different than you get a new marble countertop in your kitchen, or a new deck on your house, wraparound deck, right? It's all about when you're building film or creating a brand. It's all about adding equity. In however you do that is strategy, right? It's strategic,
Mhm.
but equity is that's why he's able to ask for something different now. Hey, this particular film is something I always had in my heart. Would you consider being doing a co-production with me? I bring my screenplay, my team, and my chosen cast. I want to share my ideas with you. You get to put it on your platform. That's the leverage and the weight that you get when your FICO is high, when your pedigree is real, when it can be measured. When your pedigree can be measured at the box office, well, that's tied to your name. Just like when you pay your bills and you have a 800 credit score, or when you don't pay your bill and you got a 316. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same way. You can
I
you
got
can try to you can try to get a Yugo car, or you can try to get a Jaguar. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on. So you can ask for more when you do more. When your FICO is high.
right. So leverage is everything.
It's
Wow.
everything.
That is, I still am in awe of that whole deal that he did, especially in these times and things going on, and where I feel, we were underrepresented, and I'm happy to know that you're one of the people who made sure that that doesn't happen, from what I'm reading and from what I've heard. So I appreciate you for that.
Thank
Do you
you.
think? Yeah, no, we really do appreciate you. And it's funny because it's always the quiet one that's been doing so much behind the scenes that we never get to give flowers while they're here. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Do you think that from your professional football and your combat missions, that it was discipline that gave you the resilience that you needed to do these things, Sergeant Major?
100%, 100%. I mean, playing football, the game is not over. You're down, but the game is not over until the final, whistle blows. And being in the military, where, if you run a 10-mile run and you come back and you get to the finish line, but you've lost 15, 20 troops, that couldn't keep up in the run. You have to circle everybody up who can run fast and go back and get your stragglers, you know what I'm saying? Leave no man behind. You go back and get everybody because you must finish as a team. All of this creates the whole, mindset of the team isn't I, the team is we. It's all plural pronouns. And again, you're going back into the serving the lead type thing, but absolutely all of that is built on the back of experiences, right? The pitfalls and the hurdles and, all the roadblocks that are put in front of you. When roadblocks are put in front of you, it's just important simply to create another strategy. I always look at it like a compass. A lot of people know what a compass is, but when you're doing land navigation, you have a compass, right? You shoot an azimuth, like I want to go true north. I want to go north, right? But what happens if you go north 5 miles and there's a roadblock? Well, strategy tells you turn right. Go turn right 1 mile, and then at 1 mile mark, turn left and go back around, get back on the main road. That's all about the strategy. We have to apply that in life. The door closed is not a no. It's just go, pivot, new direction. A lot of people with the roadblock, they see the roadblock as a no, as a saying, say, this ain't my timing. No, it's just you got to go a different direction. So the military is like, you go around it, you go over it, under it, or you go through it. That's the military. Hollywood is you go around it, over it, or you go underneath it. What is the strategy, right? People don't send their kids to law school to be a litigator. These wealthy people, they send their daughters and moms, daughters and sons to school to learn the parameters in which they can maneuver.
Wow.
So they're not sending their sons. They're not going to be, litigating the Johnny Cochran and the O.J. Simpson case. They're not. No. I want you to go figure out what are the rules and how can we finesse the rules to our advantage as a family, as an estate. That's why the kids of the wealthy go to school, to get the new rules so that we can move in the tax space, in the all these spaces that are economically advantage can be taken.
Right. I was just talking to someone about this yesterday. A cousin, one of my young cousins, 20 years old. He started his own business, and I was like, "You have," and he already has a mind in mind about trust and all that stuff. Which I was like, "You're only 20. Like it took me forever to figure this out." So that is another jewel that you've given us that we need to think about and go do our research and elaborate on because it's very important.
But they have more access than we had, Tanya. You know, so
Yes.
they got the internet. They're seeing how you go establish an LLC or you incorporate it, right? And you don't have to have money coming to you. Money comes to the holding company, to the family fund, right? And with the family fund, you have more ability to, you have more tax advantages if it comes to the family fund. So having a family fund allows me to give my auntie Tanya a loan, and there's a tax advantage for that as well. And Tanya pays back the family.
Right, exactly. See,
but she's not paying back, Bank of One, e-commerce bank with a 15% interest. But yeah,
right. No, absolutely. I totally get it. I wish more of us got it, and I got it kind of late, but better late than never. But you guys, it's definitely something to think about. So clip that, viewers. Make sure if you didn't get it, go back and look at this segment and make sure you research what he's talking about because it's everything. There's no point you can't build a legacy without what he just mentioned. So Sergeant Major Craig. So we only have a few questions for you since we're nearing our time. So let me see who I have. One of our viewers who's a friend of the show. He's an upcoming filmmaker, writer, director. Shante Too Cool Jefferson, Too Cool Films. So he asked about your production company and are you looking to put new talent in the film industry? And if so, what exactly would he need to submit and what do you look for when you're inquiring a new talent?
I would always say, I give people access to me, right? Tanya, I would allow you to share my email with anybody, right? Okay. But I would tell them what I'm looking for when I read the email is the work that you have done. I'm not looking to pick you up from, ground zero. I want to, if we're talking, you say you want to be an actor. Right. Well, I'm gonna sign you up with a friend of mine to take acting classes first. I need to get you your credit score up in the space that you want to operate in. Even though your family been telling you all these years, you're the funniest person at the picnic, but I want to make sure that you are trained the right way because you never know. You can start acting, you can start acting class in 1 year, and the very next year you're winning an Oscar, because the chances of things happen like that if you have the look and the role. So it's just all about making sure that you have did as much as you can yourself in the space that you are in, even if that means as a producer who wants to be on, volunteer at your local production company and go over there and that is in itself will allow you to put that production company that's already it already has a name on your resume. So you go there and do 90 days with that company and that job goes on your resume, and who knows, they may have a job coming up as a co-producer and now you on one of their films that they already got funded and you ride that ladder up just like that. But all of this is strategy, guys. Right. Put yourself in the right room around the right people. It's going to require humility and some strength, and you may have to even do it for free if you've never done it, just to get, you cut your teeth, right, in that space or whatever. But put yourself in the space so God can bless you in it. With humility is so important.
Wow. Well, thank you. Hopefully that answered for Shante. Let's see. So, okay. So in behind the scenes, I'll get the email because they wanted to send their project or portfolio and wanted to know because they say, oh, well, so many people, they have the ends and they know, but they don't really give you a detail of how to really reach out if you really, really want to. So thank you. I appreciate that, Sergeant Major. So here's another question from another filmmaker in London, Ashton. About distribution. So let's see. He says, I want to maximize the money that I get from the distributor. Let's say I'm selling different zones. What's the best deal? And then I'll finish after you answer that one. Is it good?
So it sounds like this person has a finished film and they're trying to get pre-sales. The best The best way to go about that, just to say if you have if this person in the UK has a finished film and they have an offer from UK, we're about going by that. It's kind of like you have to reach out to the other places like France or Germany or Italy, whatever, right? A good way of doing that is to create a bidding war, without giving up the spot secrets, right? You would call Germany, a distributor in Germany, or even me, and say, hey, I have this offer, whatever, right? I will gently finesse to let the German distributor know, hey, I have a great product starring A, B, or C. The production value, production quality is this. There's an offer from UK. Would you like to make an offer as a German distributor? I want to give you the first dibs because this is fire. You know what I'm saying? And then do the same thing in every country. But if you can get a theatrical release, right? This is what a theatrical release would do to your film.
Okay.
Even a limited theatrical release, if you're only going to get 10 screens, right? What it does is, let me say this. There are 9,500 independent films made every year.
Wow.
But if you get a limited theatrical release, you just change your film's classification to a theatrical release film. Well, now you just put yourself in a shorter line. You're not in the 9,500 independent film maker line anymore. Now you're in a smaller line because you have a theatrically released film. Only 10 theaters. So first you want to do is change your classification. If you got money from a distributor, he cuts you a check, go talk to some theaters or a distributor who has access to theaters. Change the classification of your film from a regular 9,500 film made annually to a theatrical release film. And now you can ask for more money from your film because you put a new stereo system and new rims on your car. It's a different car now with a different value. Wow. So everything you do in this space, you have to figure out, how do I add equity to my product? Is that the cast? Is that a theatrical release? Or is that a premiere? How you had a premiere with your film? Things of that nature. It's all about equity, adding value.
Okay, equity and value. So I guess you answered the other part of this question. Is it good to do individual deals or do a global deal? He said he thinks that a global deal would be at the disadvantage of the maker and the profit of the distributor because of the handling fee. Something he said?
Well, two things could be right, two things could be wrong. Okay. If you have the right distributor who looks at every territory as its own individual deal, and before any distributor is to close a deal, you as the filmmaker should have to approve each and every deal per territory anyway. Okay. So you get to say yay or nay anyway. But if you have a distributor with global access points, and in your contract is he must be able to approve each and every deal, he's still in a position of power. Oh, by the way, and if he runs into another person with a better deal in another territory, in the contract, he should have the ability to go back to his global distributor and say, hey, I want to do Romania myself. So let's do an amendment to my contract. I want to do Romania and Italy myself now. So send me an amendment because now I have another situation that I'm going to leverage myself. So make sure you have the ability within your contracts to have flexibility because it's still your IP. You're still in control. So make sure you have certain stipulations in your contract that allows you to do, second and third amendments if you find people that give you an upper hand in what you do.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a good piece of information. Wow. What's his other question? So the last question is paying for small amounts better than paying one big amount? Because he says you can get the global deal. I know it could be a headache, but it's about you to a certain extent. It's about maximizing the income of the work, and it's a series. Did I make that clear? Sorry.
What's the first part of the question? Paying.
So he's saying, yeah, he's saying paying. Wait, let's see how I get it. Is paying for small amounts better than paying one big amount because you can get the global deal? I know he was saying he knows that it's a headache, but it's about you to a certain extent. It's about maximizing the income of the work, and it's a series. Is that clear enough?
It's pretty vague, but I'll take a stab at it. I think he's saying if you, as a distributor or as a filmmaker.
Probably as let's see, what did you say exactly? It's paying for small. See, that's the thing. Well, let's check it for, let's say both. Can we do both? Is that possible?
Sure.
Is that, I'm not sure. He didn't make that clear. I apologize.
No worries, no worries. Maybe he's talking about platforms. If his film will end up on a platform, because platforms do have they have different, CPUs, right? How they scale the thing based on the audience, right? So, yeah, but each platform is different. So,
Okay.
In this new industry of ours that's disrupted, right? There's turbulence in the water everywhere. There's no one way that's right. So every strategy session now has to be almost a hybrid. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said what I said earlier about making sure you have the ability to do amendments within your contract, because nothing is one way anymore. You need to have the ability within your contract to be able to call your distributor back and say, hey, I have a different situation for these 5 territories. I just left Dubai. I spoke to the sheik over there, and the sheik over there he loves my film, and I want to take back those territories. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, having flexibility is everything, and there's whatever makes sense to you, right? And I would say this to your listeners. Hey guys, tap into your inner self, and you need to be able to trust your spider senses internally, because if your psyche is telling yourself something, trust yourself and believe yourself and ask those questions. Matter of fact, when you approach a distributor, you almost want to take the mindset of, although it feels like distributor's in charge, but you're really interviewing somebody that's going to be an advocate of yours, right? So change your mindset into you're interviewing multiple distributors that's going to be acting on your behalf. The distributor's not in charge. It's your product. You own the IP. You paid for it. You finessed, everything about it to make it come into fruition. So absolutely interview your distributors or even your producers reps and say, hey, in the event X happens, I want to be able to pivot. Are you okay with that? And in some cases, some people they give multiple distributors different access. I'm going to give one distributor access to my TVOD, right? And my AVOD, but not my broadcasting rights. One distributor is going to take it to the network, and one distributor is going to take it to Tubi, different things, right? Or Disney Plus. So you can also share your rights to your film if it's that good. You'll be able to call your shot.
Wow. So you do have to have really good negotiating skills, basically. Sounds like.
Yes, be able to negotiate, yes, but also know that you have the right to ask these questions. Write down your 10 questions. Go on AI, go on ChatGPT, and ask the question yourself. What are the 10 questions when interviewing my future film distributor, should I ask? And ask your 10 questions and see if it makes sense to you. Because if you're in the entertainment business, you're doing film, you are a smart person. You do have a high IQ. You know what I'm saying? You're a creative, right? You're a little bit different. So get those questions first, from the internet, and have those questions, and just have the mindset of you're going to interview these distributors and find the best person, that not just the strategy of how to deploy the film to the marketplace, but also, does the person have good character? Do you like the person? Does the person align with your spirit? Has the person even seen your film? I know some distributors who they go into meetings and they haven't even seen the content that they're trying to acquire. That's disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? So just know what your rights are, know what you're looking for, and know what you have, realistically, as far as, what you got in the can. What is your product? The value of it. What are your comps? What are 4 other films like your film in the same genre, and how successful were those 4 films?
Wow. Do your homework. Do your homework.
That's the word. Yeah.
Wow. So Sergeant Major Craig, I know your time is valuable. I just have just one. I want to know, like, what advice would you give to creators that are trying to break into film and media without connections? Like, what's the one advice you would give them?
Initially, work on your craft. If you're an actor, um, get some acting classes. Look around, Google it, find it, go get it. If you are a writer,
Mm-hmm.
you can't just be one thing anymore. Learn how to be a producer, what a producer does. If you are a producer, learn how to direct. What does the director do? Learn your cameras. What kind of cameras are there? It's a red camera, black magic camera. Learn how to work them. Do you have one? Do you own one? Volunteer at production companies, at all kind of studios.
Mm-hmm.
Get in the game. So, dreaming is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
What action are you taking behind the dream? What are you literally doing after work? Remember I told you I went to UCLA for the business of entertainment? Well, I didn't go to UCLA during the workday. I worked at Disney from 9 to 6. I left the studio. I stayed at the studio until about 7:30. Got me a little lunch, a little snack, and I drove out to UCLA at nighttime. I got home at 11 o'clock. So all of this is about, what next? What extra? What more can I do to add equity to who I am, my value? And oh, by the way, Disney did not pay for that UCLA class. That came out of high. So that was an investment that I invested in me because I knew who I wanted to become. You know what I'm saying? So it's not easy, and the low hanging fruit is not the answer. You know what I'm saying? You got to go to the top of the tree. And oh, by the way, I'm gonna leave you guys with this: the eagle, an eagle can come on the ground and eat with the chickens, but the chickens cannot go and fly where the eagles fly. The elevation, the air is different. It's a different air. So you can't talk about being an eagle if you're not doing that eagle work.
Right. Wow, that is so powerful. We have a lot to think about on this one. I read somewhere, Sergeant Major Craig, that sustainability matters to you a lot. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. I mean, I care about people. I care about the earth. I care about, well, I guess I said that with people, humanity, right? So that's why my whole charter, again, I believe that too much is given, much is required, right? For the Most High. So I just believe on reaching one and teaching one and educating one. How can I be of assistance to anybody, be an asset? That's why, Tanya, when you reached out to my team about this interview, I'm like, okay, what are we doing and what's going on? And because we all need elevation. We all need that one guest. We all need the audience to respect what we do or who we got. You know what I'm saying? So, when I went into the Army in 1984, I'm gonna give my age away now. I guess by now you guys know I'm already old, right? But I came into the military at the end of the Vietnam era. There were still Vietnam soldiers in my unit, in my organization. And those soldiers, before they got out of the military, they told me, I was a young guy, I was 17 years old. They told me, let me tell you something, young man, if you reach to the top and you look left and you look right and you're by yourself, you did it wrong.
Wow.
You did it wrong. So if you're not looking to take people with you, how can you expect the Most High and God to bless you? Wow. So when I speak about humanity and people and giving back and love, it's all about looking for my replacement. Some of your people today may be my replacement. I'm looking to pour into other people the stuff that I have that they think is of value. I don't know what's of value, Tanya. So I leave that for the people to figure out who needs to talk to me, who think. I'm just a small town country boy from Alabama originally, right? Population 2,500, 1,300 men, 1,200 females. You know what I'm saying? So I come from nowhere and nothing. So if I can do it just with blood, sweat, and tears, determination, being resilient, being persistent in my pursuits, understanding how to shoot an accurate goal, and even readjusting my goals if they're too high for where I find myself at today. Tomorrow, I reassess that goal and change it back out tomorrow. But if I can do it, anybody can, Tanya. You're looking at the son of a homeless guy. Where my mother, got a job at a motel as a cook, so we can have shelter in a room with a hot plate underneath the bed, coming in and being able to cook a meal, which was illegal, so her son can have something to eat. So if I can do it, anybody could do this, Tanya. So that's what it's about. Giving back and just showing if I could be where I'm at today, by the grace of God, you guys could be exactly where you want to be. But get out of your own way and don't even look at how it started, how your situation started, because if you focus too much on where you're coming from and how you started, it will hinder you from moving forward. That's why they always say, why those mirrors on the side of your car are so small and the windshield is so large? It's so you can you want to pay attention to the windshield. That's why it's bigger. Your future is more important than anything, not your past. So keep it going and keep it moving. And oh, by the way, suffering plus sacrifice equals success. Remember the 3 S.
That's a good book title. It's a good book title. Wow. Well, last question. It should be the last question I got here for you. This is all jewels that I'm so happy to hear you say, because it's things that I think of, people say, well, oh, you did such and so. I didn't do anything. We did this. The community did this, and so I'm happy to hear you say that at your level, to say that you think about other people and the future is very major. So appreciate you for that. Why is a purpose-driven business the future?
I always say you got to believe in something, right? So what is your purpose? You know what I'm saying? That's where the mission comes from. So if you have purpose, to me, if you have purpose, it gives your business heart. People can feel who's authentic and who's superficial, right? Who's just fronting. That's why I have the ability. I talk to filmmakers and directors and creators every day and people with money every day, right? But I don't put myself in front of the camera because that's not my God-given skill, right? That's not my ability. I could already put myself in movies, right? Because I put all those people together. So, but to have a purpose, my purpose is the connector. I'm the person that when the director calls me looking for talent, or the producer calls me looking for a director who's looking for a producer, or the talent calls me looking for a role, I put all that together. So my purpose is to be the connector or the gatekeeper or the person that, again, I simply want to be an asset to others so that they reach their peak and their dreams and their goals are realized. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's just what my purpose is. So I just know who I am at this point. So I'm just trying to be true to my cause, be true to, what God gave me the ability to do and for others. It's not about me, it's about them. Because if I look out there and I see someone successful, that makes me feel good. The endorphins inside of me, rings true. It's kind of like, when years later, Chadwick Boseman called Denzel Washington and said, "Hey, Denzel, the reason why I'm here in Black Panther and all these other movies, you may not realize this. Denzel had given to the school at Howard a donation for a student to finish his class, right? The guy had ran out of money. Well, that was my brother Chadwick Boseman, right? Our birthdays on the same day, November 29th. So, but Denzel had did that, right? Unbeknownst to him, but he was just giving back. So a lot of what I've done in my lifetime, nobody even knows that I'm me, Tanya. Nobody knows that I'm the first and only Black person on the team that distributed Black Panther or Avengers Endgame that went on to surpass Avatar at $2.7 billion, because Disney selects who goes out in front and talks in the camera. And I'm behind the camera doing what I do. So
wow. Well,
speaking of
now, now we know. And it gives us great hope, because we usually don't think we have voices in those spaces. So it's nice to know, wow, that's a big voice. That's the voice, So I appreciate that. And I'm sorry for the long intro, but this is why I did that, because people don't know, and they should. I think they should know, because not only does it give them hope, but also it makes them know that, with discipline and hard work, you can achieve anything, literally. So thank you. Wow.
So Tanya, life happens to all of us.
Mhm.
It's if it's not me today, it's tomorrow. So life happens to all of us. We just have to understand that we're all going through something. I believe that everybody's life is always in one of three places: either at the beginning of the storm, in the middle of the storm, or coming out of the storm. Well, guess what? When you come out of the storm, guess what? There will be another storm.
Right.
And my good friend Richard Lawson taught me the three P's.
Mhm.
When something happens to you, you have to process it,
Mhm.
pivot, and then proceed.
Mhm. See, 3 Ps. Wow.
So it's a mind. All this is a mindset. So it's so important how you've developed yourself, your own psyche, your philosophical, your philosophy,
Mhm.
and your psychology. How have you wired yourself? In some cases, we don't recognize that we need to read a good book and rewire ourselves. We can re-engineer ourselves because it's based on, intake, right? Most of us sit around watching TV, whatever. We don't recognize that we're being programmed.
Mhm.
We're being
Yes.
programmed with these channels and stuff that we consume, and that's all we got inside of us, as opposed to programming our stuff with a good book that gives you some psychology that helps your mental makeup be stronger. So you can't be moved left or right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So rewire yourself, re-engineer yourself, put some different psychology inside of yourself. Because as humans, we're able to be manufactured, we're able to be reconstructed and rewired.
Right.
So know how the human brain works and know how we work. And don't allow other people to put stuff inside of you because it stays there.
Yes.
You have to protect yourself from the stuff that doesn't fit your mental makeup.
Wow. That is so true. And you're just a gem today. We're just getting so many jewels from Sergeant Major Craig. I appreciate you so much. And I know our time is up already, but I want to tell viewers, please make sure that you go out and get the book. Okay. You're going to learn so much, especially my filmmaker friends out there. That's the book, in case you're wondering. There are other books he's written, so make sure you can find them all on Amazon. You can go to the website, which I'll put up here for you again. So make sure you check that out. Sergeant Major Keith L. Craig, you are the best. And I cannot tell you how thankful I am for you for showing up today for us and for my viewers, because you're certainly you're living proof that discipline, vision, and service can create impact across every arena. So I thank you for taking the time to come and be with us. I really do. Hang out with me for one moment while I say goodbye to the audience. You don't mind? I'm going to take you up. Okay. So, guys, make sure you go out and get the book. I appreciate you. I see you all there. Yes. Hi. Hi, Denise. I see you all there. Thank you. Make sure if you get the book, there's other books that are just as great. So make sure you Google Sergeant Major Keith L. Craig, okay? And all of his socials, everything will come up. I have the socials here. I put it up on the screen, but make sure you do that, okay? And I'll put the book up one more time for you guys, just to make sure. Well, that's the full flap right there. Okay, there you go. All right. Make sure you go out and get it. And Sergeant, hang out with me 1 minute, and we will see you guys next week. One moment. There we go.